cowboys and cowgirls here. Or are they some kind of Indians? I don't know. So was it fun? Good. That's what counts.
Our speaker today is Shana Sweet, as you know, and her husband Clint is here. And to give a little background and a formal introduction, our general manager, Jim's going to just give her an introduction for us. Jim?
Good morning. I'm not going to take too long to go through the history of it all, but you know we've struggled in the past year and a half or so with the stables and what we were going to do with it. The bottom line in dealing with the board is we knew we didn't want to be in the horse business. That's just something that Bent Tree really wasn't qualified for. But the stables is the DNA of our community, so we tried hard to find a owner-operator to come in and lease the property and run the business. We ran a national RFP. We didn't really get a good response on it, and so one Monday I went to a stables group committee meeting, and we just said, you know, we don't know if there's a future for the stables, and the committee decided to go to the board and say, let's close the stables down. I don't think there's a future for it. And the next day, just out of the blue one afternoon, my phone rings, and it's just a random call, don't know who it's from, and I hear this voice on the other end, and it was like a cowgirl angel. And she says, my name's Shana Sweet, and I saw your RFP, and are you still looking for someone to run your stables? And you know, in life, you kind of just, you go through life, and you just, if you're patient, sometimes opportunity just kind of bites you. And I looked at this as something of, well, we've already decided we're going to go to the board and close the stables down. Should I just tell her, no, we're not interested? And I said, heck no. Every opportunity, you know, needs to be investigated. So I said, sure, you know, when do you want to meet? And they're like, well, we're 10 minutes away. And I said, well, I'll meet you in the stables in 10 minutes. And through the last couple of months, you know, we've really developed a relationship with them. They were at a crossroads with their life and their business. We were at a crossroads with our opportunity, and we just kind of met at the fork right there in the road. The board has been wide open to this effort. We have a lease in place. It started February 1st. They've already started to move in. So we are excited today to come to you and introduce Shana and Clint and let her tell you kind of her vision for the stables and when things are going to get started and what it's going to look like when it operates. So, Shana, welcome to Bent Tree.
Good morning. Thank you, Jim. First, I would like to thank the Lake and Wildlife Committee for inviting Clint and me here today to share a little bit about ourselves and our plans for the Bent Tree Stables. We truly appreciate the opportunity to be here and to get to know the community. We're very excited to be a part of the Bent Tree community and grateful for the chance to introduce ourselves and share a little about our background with horses. Horses have been a part of our lives for many years, and they've taken us on quite a journey, one that has now led us here. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Shana, and this is my husband, Clint. Raise your hand. Together, we've built our lives around family, hard work, and a deep love for horses. For the last 20 years, we have owned and operated Sweet Stables in South Forsyth County, where we have had the privilege of caring for horses and working with riders of all ages. We offer boarding, lessons, camps, classes, and we're also the barn for the Forsyth County 4-H program, or were the barn for the Forsyth County 4-H program. Our barn was always very much a family effort, and over the years, it became more than just a place for horses. It became a place where people gathered, learned, and built lasting friendships. After many wonderful years at Sweet Stables, Clint and I found ourselves facing a difficult decision. The area around us was growing rapidly, and eventually a developer approached us about purchasing the property. Sweet Stables has been our home and our livelihood for many years, so it was not a decision that we took lightly. Our farm holds so many memories: early mornings in the barn, children learning to ride their horses, families gathered around the arena, and countless horses that became a part of our lives. For us, it was never just a piece of land, it was a blessing. In the end, we realized that sometimes life opens a new door when you least expect it. While it is hard to say goodbye to a place that means so much to us, it also gave us the opportunity to begin a new chapter. That decision eventually led us to Pickens County and set us on the path that would bring us here today. Interestingly enough, what brought us to Bentry started with a simple phone call. A close friend of mine called to tell me that Bentry was looking for someone to take over their stables. At the time, and still today, she is caring for 2 playful baby bears, which makes the story a little more memorable. That conversation sparked our curiosity, and before long, Clint and I found ourselves learning more about Bentry, a path that we have set out on. As we look ahead to the future of Bentry, we're excited about the opportunity to create something special for the community. We will be bringing our trail horses with us so we can offer guided trail rides through this beautiful property. We will also have 8 stalls available for boarding, with 5 of those reserved for Bentry residents. Residents will receive discounts on both trail rides and boarding. In addition to riding, we hope to create opportunities for the community to gather at the barn. Throughout the year, we plan to host holiday events, craft nights at the barn, summer and spring camps, and programs like our Beyond the Saddle program that allows people to enjoy and learn about horses even if they don't desire to ride them. One of my favorite quotes comes from Winston Churchill. It's amazing what the outside of a horse can do to the inside of a man. Our hope is that the barn becomes a welcoming place the Bentry community can gather, learn, and enjoy special connections between people and horses. We will spend the days ahead preparing the facility for the arrival of your new neighbors. That's it? That's it? That's it? Okay. I would like to share a story that has always stayed with me, and then I'll open up for questions and answers. This story represents why judgment has no place in my barn. We run a completely drama-free barn. We welcome everybody, always have. Boarding horses, there are many different types of facilities. Where we are, we border Alpharetta and Milton, which, for those of you that don't know, is horse country. There are multiple barns there that have been there, deep-rooted, and they have extensive training and lesson programs. Some of them are elite facilities. So when we first started to board horses, the main reason we decided to was to offset the cost of my personal horses. So bringing in a few horses would have helped. But once we started, and I started talking to people, I realized that there's a need for a barn like what we've created. We pass no judgment. I don't care if you ride in an English saddle, a Western saddle, if you ride bareback, if you don't ride, if you want to ride underneath the belly of the horse. As long as you're safe doing it and it makes you happy, it's all about the horse at the end of the day. We've never, put a strict rules and regulations list together. We have no hours. It's the first things I was asked is, what are your hours? When can I come see my horse? I would never keep you from your animal. You can come anytime your heart desires, which was a big hit with a lot of people. We don't make you come through our program. You don't have to take X amount of lessons a week to board with us. We welcome bring your own trainer out. Doesn't bother me at all. We're just all about the horse and sharing that together. There's a lot of barns in our area that do not welcome Western riders. They frown upon it, and that just doesn't sit with me well. So that was one thing that kind of set us aside. So I'll tell you a little bit about this story. Okay. About 12 years ago, I received a phone call from a woman asking about boarding her mare with us. The next day, she came out to look at the farm. We spent nearly 2 hours walking the pastures, looking at stalls, and she asked what felt like a never-ending list of questions. At the end of it, she shook my hand and said, "I'd like to bring my horse here." 2 days later, I hauled her mare back to Sweet Stables. We'll call the owner Susie and the horse Hope. Hope is a beautiful quarter horse mare, strong, athletic, and full of spirit. When Susie came out to visit, she usually brought her 10-year-old daughter with her. They didn't stay long. They would take Hope out, groom her, give her a few treats, and put her back in the stall. As time went on, I noticed something. Hope was clearly a horse that had been ridden before, but Susie never rode her. Eventually, I asked why. She told me that she used to ride Hope all the time, but after the sudden death of her husband, she just hadn't had the motivation to ride anymore. She told me that 6 months before bringing Hope to our farm, she and her daughter had found her husband at home after he had passed away from a massive heart attack. Hope turned out to be a surprise gift from her husband 2 years earlier. Susie had always wanted a horse, and although her husband wasn't a horse person, he eventually surprised her with Hope. They knew of the filly and her situation. Hope had been neglected by her previous owner, and Susie's love for her moved her husband to rescue the horse and give her to his wife. Hope became something special to that family. They spent time together at the barn. They built memories together, and Susie told me as she watched her husband slowly fall in love that she slowly watched her husband fall in love with the horse. She would laugh and say she had been bitten by the horse bug. He had been bitten by the horse bug. Over time, I began riding Hope for Susie, hoping that maybe one day she would feel ready to ride again. But Susie continued to come to the barn quietly and spend time with Hope in the stall. One evening, during my nightly check, I heard a stall door open. When I looked around the corner, I saw Susie standing there with her face buried in Hope's neck, quietly sobbing. When I asked if she was okay, she told me something that has always stayed with me. She said the memories were painful, but she couldn't let them go. She told me she might never ride again, but she would never let Hope go either. She said Hope had once been broken and neglected, and that her husband's love had rescued her. Because of that, she could never risk Hope ending up somewhere else. Over the years, I got to know Susie well. She was a kind soul. She wasn't very social with the other boarders, but I understood why. She carried a lot of grief, and the barn was the one place she could go where she felt close to something that still connected her to her husband. One cold rainy morning, I went out to feed and noticed Hope's right hind leg was swollen. I took her temperature and she had a high fever. It looked like cellulitis, which is a fairly common occurrence in horses. But when I walked her, I noticed she was lame in her front left leg. I called the vet out, and she confirmed the cellulitis, but after further testing revealed something much worse. Hope had foundered in both her front feet, with the left being severe. Blood work showed she had Cushing's disease, a metabolic condition that older horses can develop and one that can lead to founder. For those of you unfamiliar with founder, it's one of the most devastating diagnoses a horse owner can hear. The coffin bone inside the hoof begins to rotate downward. even penetrating the sole of the hoof in time. Years ago, founder almost always meant euthanasia. Some veterinarians and farriers today have had success trying to stop the rotation and rehabilitate horses, but the process is long, complicated, and not always successful. Susie wanted to fight for hope. We changed her diet. We started her on medications for the disease, treated the cellulitis aggressively, and worked closely with a veterinarian who specialized in founder. Hope continued to decline. The reality was that she was suffering, and the odds were not in her favor. Some of the other boarders began to judge the situation harshly. They believed the horse should already have been put down. But what they didn't understand was Susie's story. They hadn't walked in her shoes. They didn't understand what hope represented in her life. I found myself in a difficult position. I cared deeply for Hope and could see her suffering, but I also knew Susie was still grieving and not emotionally ready to face letting her go. Keeping my boarders at bay was tough. They were opinionated and proud to share it. Eventually, Hope reached a point where she could barely move. I called the veterinarian and had an honest conversation with him. I praised his dedication for trying to help foundered horses, but I also told him that Hope's quality of life was gone. Let's see where I'm at. Okay. We both came to the same conclusion. It was time. The next day, Susie came to the barn. She had managed to get Hope out of the stall and was smiling through tears, hopeful that maybe she was improving. Before I could say anything, another boarder made a harsh comment across the aisle, saying out loud the horse should have been put down a long time ago and that she smelled like death. Susie was devastated. After she left that day, I sat down with that boarder and explained Susie's story to her. I told her that judgment has no place in my barn because we never truly know what someone else is carrying. She apologized and went about her day. Later that day, I asked Susie to come back to the barn so we could talk. Susie was definitely in denial. We stood in Hope's stall brushing her while we shared memories together. I talked about Hope's spirit, about how she had once been the alpha mare in the pasture. I asked Susie to share her favorite memories with me too. Then I shared a story about my heart horse and the decision that I had once had to face to let him go with dignity rather than wait until suffering forced the decision. I told her something that I truly believe about animals. They don't have words, but they do speak to us if we can quiet our own hearts enough to listen. I told her Hope was ready. I told her that Hope had fought alongside her, but now she needed Susie to be strong and give her peace. The next morning, Susie sent me a message that simply said, "I'm ready." That day, we gave Hope the best day we could possibly give. Because of her Cushing's disease, she hadn't been allowed to graze on grass in a long time. So I gave her a lot of pain medication, walked her out to a quiet green field, and let her graze for hours. She was in heaven. We groomed her, braided her mane and tail, and Susie picked flowers from the flower bed and wove them into her braids. She looked beautiful. When the veterinarian arrived, Susie held her lead rope while Hope slowly laid down and closed her eyes. I have witnessed the passing of many horses through the years, but I can honestly say Hope's passing was one of the most peaceful I have ever seen. And when it was over, I looked at Susie and saw something I hadn't seen in her: peace. She looked at me before leaving and said, "That couldn't have been any more beautiful." She was ready, and now I am too. That story has stayed with me for many years, and it represents the values that shaped how we ran Sweet Stables: compassion, patience, and understanding that every horse and every person carries a story that we may not immediately see. Those are the same values I will bring with me to Bent Tree. Our vision for Bent Tree is not to create a large commercial boarding operation. What we want to create is a stable that fits naturally within this beautiful community. A place where horses are well cared for, where the environment is peaceful and respectful, and where residents feel welcome to come spend time around the animals and the land. Thank you. I'm open for any questions, if anybody has any about the facility or touching on our plans or.
I just want to say God bless you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Can you tell everybody your plan as far as getting the horses here and getting started?
Yes. Okay, so we close on our farm that we're currently at on the 16th of April. We will close on our property down the street on the 18th of April. So as soon as we close on the property here, we'll start bringing horses over. By the end of April, I should have the barn up and running. That's kind of our plan as of right now. Hopefully it stays like that. Yeah.
So will you'll have a need for volunteers?
Yes.
And you'll post that somewhere?
Yes. Yep. I haven't gotten with is it Turi, I believe. I'm gonna put some stuff out there for you guys. We welcome everybody. We had volunteers for years where we were, so all that opportunity is there, and we're laid back, very, 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 very laid back people. Always open for any ideas anybody has. We're always learning. So.
Could you please share with us what plans you may have for horse camp for kids this summer? In previous years, there's been multiple weeks of camp,
Sure.
and most of them are filled up.
Right.
And so we would really love for you to have as many horse camps for kids this summer if possible.
Okay. Sure. So that's actually where my heart lays, is with youth. And camps, that's my thing. So we offer summer camps, multiple weeks. I would do it all year if I could. And we've had waiting lists to get into our camps, and so we're surrounded by camps. We kind of structure our camp a little bit differently. We welcome all ages, have a lot of help. We like to separate them with groups throughout the day, kind of structuring around the age. We have like mini lessons that we offer every day. I'm a big crafter, so we do crafts. We'll take them to the lake, and we just multiple activities with them. We keep them super busy. So yes, we are definitely on board for camps.
And when might applications be available?
Well, let's see. But once we get in here, come end of April, 1st of May, I'll have all that posted somewhere for everybody to start signing up. Definitely. Yeah, sure. Anybody have anything else? Yes. Hi.
Do you any work with special needs children?
So yes, I do. Actually, I have been a volunteer for a hippotherapist in Dawsonville, and I do some therapeutic riding myself. I also have a camp every summer that is kind of structured around learning disabilities and certain things. I have a lot of experience with that. Yes, we do. Yes, absolutely.
Are you intending to reach out to Pickens 4-H?
I haven't really even thought about that one yet. Possibility, I guess. Oh, if we were possibly going to do the 4-H program for Pickens County. I'm not sure who even does that. I'll have to look into that a little bit and see. We did it for Forsyth County, but I wasn't very impressed with Maybe I should stop there. Okay, so they were not allowed to touch the horses. They could come out, and I taught them about the horses. They got worksheets on the horse. It was almost like it was kind of boring, you know. I mean, it's not boring to me. I love talking about horses, but I could tell the kids were like, okay, you know. So I'm not sure how Pickens County handles it. I know they're, very, very much supportive of agriculture. So I will look into that. Okay. Good. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Without telling you how much I weigh, do you have a horse capable of trail riding a 252-pound person?
Yes, I do. Yep. Okay, so I've always been a one-man show, my family and I. So we are going to. I've got 2 children. I've got a 13-year-old daughter who has grown up on the back of a horse. She competes. She's a barrel racer. She competes nationally. So she's a very, very, very good rider. She passed me a long, long time ago, but I don't like to tell her that. So she's very involved. She helps me with all my summer camps. She's good with the kids, very knowledgeable. So she'll be with me. And then I have a 23-year-old son who is actually a certified body repairman for Caliber Collision. They could care less if he ever sees a horse again in his life. So you probably won't see much of him. And then we have a sort of an adopted son who is now 31 years old. He's been with us since he was 13, and he has Asperger's autism. He's high functioning. So he's like my right-hand man. He'll clean stalls and do pretty much anything. So he'll be with me. And we will probably be bringing on a guide or two for the trails. But I'm just very hands-on. I got to be there, So, yeah. I have quarter horses. Yep, I have quarter horses. We'll have some draft crosses for the trail riding. That's good to tote the heavier weight. Not that that's heavy, by no means, but that's what they're built for. Durable. But we welcome any breed of horses as far as our boarding goes. I've had them all. So off the track thoroughbreds, to senior horses, to babies. We've got a Percheron, 2,500-pound Percheron right now boarded with us. His name is Billy Bob. He will not be at Bentry because he would count as about 5 horses. So he'll stay at our farm. I don't think I mentioned how many horses we're going to have down there. I believe our lease says 18. 10 of those will be our trail horses, and then we're going to have the 5 stalls for Bentry, which leaves 3 stalls for outside people to board if they want the opportunity. But it was important that we bought a property with land close by, so we can continue boarding horses like we have always done, and it will also help with an overflow. People that wanted to come here and we don't have stalls for them. So it'll be close by. I also give lessons. So the lessons, I believe I'm going to keep to our personal farm, just because I don't really want to take up any space at the facility here with lesson horses standing around. So.
Have you determined a fee schedule for boarding and for trail rides and marina rides or anything?
I have not. That's one thing I'm kind of struggling with. So I'm going to do a little research on that. I haven't checked around to see what the kind of rates are here. But I'll have, yeah. They'll be fair. fair for sure. We do have to make somewhat of a living, but there's no money in horses, period. And I think we're all horse people we're a different breed of people to begin with, you know. But we'll have all that by the end of April. I'll have all that posted somewhere as well. Yes. The farm we bought has 28 acres. Yep, and a barn, and it's kind of turnkey for us. So we'll have that. We'll also use that as kind of an overflow. We'll rotate horses some, and you know, my plan is I know the facility sits on 6.5 acres, I believe, which is a little bit of a challenge when you're trying to, you know, run a trail riding operation and board horses as well. So my goal is to try to balance it out where the facility stays manageable. The pastures aren't mud. So we will not be offering pasture board here. The horses will be full boarded. They will be turned out daily on a rotated schedule of some sort. You know, I've always prided myself in pasture management to the best I can. So, you know, we're going to try to continue that here and keep the facility looking good. Oh, absolutely. Kudzu's awful. Yes, yeah, definitely. And we'll have a lot of cleanup days and such throughout the year, where we welcome anybody and everybody to come and help. Everybody, the staff here has been wonderful. Travis is great. We're excited. We feel like we got a big team. We're joining. So we just look forward to growing here with you guys. That it? Cool. Thank you.
Now you can see why I'm excited for this new partnership to come forward. I think they're the right fit at the right time for us. Just to let you know, I wrote the Echo article that gave more information, but our agreement with them is a landlord leasey type of thing. So they're going to be Sweet Stables at Bent Tree. It's their business to operate. We have a 14-page lease that kind of spells out the expectations of things. She will actually report to the Stables Committee. The Stables Committee is a standing committee. Buddy Creef is the board liaison to that committee. Christine Cobb, Melanie Shane, and Rebecca Johnson have been appointed members to that. So, the management of it all goes through that committee. So the community does have a voice. They are all horse people. The general manager don't know anything about horses, would never ride one. So I'm kind of out of the mix. But where I do come into play with it all is that the stables are an active part of Bent Tree. The land is ours. The buildings are ours. And so, I want them to succeed, and they are plugged into our team. The first meeting we had after we signed the lease was I brought her in with our executive team and plugged her into Tari, and plugged her into Ashley and Travis, and plugged her into Michael Corey. And so just like everything else operates here, we just plug them right in, and they're part of our family now. So we're excited to have them here. I also want to take the opportunity to, during the time the stables have been shut down, we have been doing some renovations of the barn. We put a new electrical system, fire monitoring system in place. And then Fred Macklem and Mike Chambers have done an excellent job with volunteers cleaning up the pastures, the rocks out of the pastures, and they're going to be doing painting projects. They have renovated each of the stables down there. They all have a fan and lights in them now, and a new base for them all. They're going to have woodworking covering the brick, and all that was done by Bent Tree volunteerism. And we still hope they continue even after Shana and Clint start. We still want to keep our facilities nice and upgraded the best we can. So thank you all for the volunteerism and the work that you do to make it happen. But I'm excited. The Bent Tree stables are going to be open here in the next month or so, and so we're back in action. So thank you all.
Need I say more? What a great meeting, Shana. Great presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Great story. Still coming. We welcome you, Clint, Shana. Success, much success here, and thanks for coming today. We'll see you again next month, and have a great week, and summer is here.